Welcome to the DSO Hygienist podcast, where we deep dive into the world of DSO hygiene. I'm your host, Christine Deal. I'm a practicing clinical hygienist with over 30 years of experience. 7 years ago, my private practice was bought by a DSO. I am an advocate for hygienists working in the DSO space. DSOs are transforming the dental landscape. It is predicted that they will be 39% of the industry by 2026. Hygienists play a critical role in a DSO by providing excellent patient care. Discover how DSO hygienists can advance their careers and make a meaningful impact in the field. From career growth opportunities to in-depth discussions on the challenges and triumphs of the DSO hygienist, in this podcast, we will provide exclusive insights, expert interviews, and real stories from passionate hygienists who are making a difference. You won't want to miss a single episode. Our guests will provide clinical guidance, emerging trends, and needed support. Even if you aren't currently in the DSO world, you will benefit from a wide range of topics. Subscribe now to the DSO Hygienist podcast and be part of the conversation. Your journey to happiness and success begins here. Belangie Perez-Torres, RDH, serves as the Director of Hygiene Strategies and Operations at Aspen Dental and Vice President for Professional Development for the New York State Dental Hygienists Association. Driven by a passion for empowering hygienists, Bela is dedicated to maximizing their potential and delivering exceptional experiences. During her time with Aspen Dental, she's been at the forefront of new initiatives designed to break down barriers and help Aspen patients get the care they need. Always looking to the future of dentistry and hygiene, Bela has pioneered utilizing new technologies, systems, and workflows to improve patient experience. She was at the forefront of implementing voice-activated periodontal charting for dental hygienists in the organization and has helped transform in-person hygiene training sessions to blended modalities for scalability. Her visionary leadership and contributions to the field were recognized with the 2023 Brilliance in Healthcare Award. Welcome, Belangie, to the show. We're so excited to have you.
I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me, Christine.
So I want to talk about the mission trip that you went on, because I know this is something that's really something a lot of hygienists would like to do. So what inspired you to join a dental mission trip, and where did you go?
Well, this is actually my second dental mission trip. My first experience was in Nicaragua around 9 years ago. And because of that experience, I really was desiring to do it again. We're coming up to the 10th year without doing outreach internationally, and wanted to be immersed into a different culture. I'm Hispanic, so I wanted to go try something that I'm not as familiar with while serving and connecting with dental professionals outside of the States too. And so I was fortunate to see an opportunity in one of the private hygiene Facebook chat that came through, and it was to the Philippines. And the host typically goes to the Philippines every year or so with their family. So they were familiar with the environment and the culture, and connecting some dental professionals, not just within the States, but also international hygienists, seemed like the right opportunity for me to go and be a part of it, and while serving underserved communities in the Philippine Islands.
So describe the preparation process before going. Do you meet? How are supplies? That kind of thing.
Yeah. So the host did a virtual kind of meet and greet of all the participants that were selected. We all had some type of experience with international outreach too. So that's one of the reasons why we're selected for the event. And we talked through what we needed to know from the cultural, what to expect. There's a little bit of differences, especially around the bathroom for us, particularly us females who are a little more mindful of that. And then what supplies we needed to bring and how can we bring it. to be in compliance with some of the government rules on there. When you're bringing in any type of medical or dental supplies into another country, there's some sensitivity, some restrictions around that. So we kind of debrief what we can each bring. And then some of the participants had relationships with vendor partners who were able to donate some preventative supplies to bring to this trip. So it really helped us to go be prepared, and also the conditions we were going to be in, right? We knew it wasn't going to be just our familiar accommodations. We were in beach areas, in remote islands, and so there's a lot of heat and humidity that we would have to be prepared for. It's interesting. One of the things that I discovered, or kind of just, we ended up having to use baby powder to don our gloves because how hot and humid it was. And it's funny because, here in the States, we banned powdered gloves. And now it's like, we're back to the powdered gloves because we can't even get the gloves on, how much our hands were sweating in the environment. So that was kind of just an interesting experience. It's like, I'm going back in our ways again.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting.
So what were some challenging aspects of the trip besides the gloves, obviously?
Yeah. Well, the other part I think we weren't prepared for is I didn't realize it was also the dry season in the Philippines. So, which is why we had so much heat and humidity. Some of the materials that we brought were like the Fuji, kind of the sealant or composite materials that we were able to kind of apply on the spot, was how much temperature sensitive they were. Because of the humidity, it set so quickly, like probably 30 seconds. So wow. 30 seconds to a minute. So on our day 2, we were able to find ice and try to put the materials in a cooler to kind of cool them down and give us a little bit more working time to set up for that. The other challenge we found was kind of not as prepared with kind of the language. I think one of the things I wish we were prepared for, and this is just kind of my personal takeaway, is writing down some of the local key phrases and language, and kind of practice the local language, and greetings, right, with the patients. And we dealt, all of our patients were all children, right? And so something as simple as, you have a beautiful smile, or open your mouth, some of these things that I didn't think of going in. Fortunately, the children mostly all spoke English or have some basic knowledge of English. But if you really want to immerse yourself in your cultures, it's important that you also be prepared with some of the local language to feel, to allow for that more inclusivity aspect and really appreciate the culture. So that was kind of like my personal takeaway, that I was like, well, Nicaragua, I was prepared for Spanish because I spoke Spanish, but didn't think about it when I went to the Philippines and not studied the language as much as I should.
So what type of procedures did you perform most frequently during the trip?
So we mostly worked in pairs and focused more on sealants and, basic restorative, because we didn't have a dental chair. We were in outdoor environments mostly. We did some of the materials we use is more like the Fuji base composite or sealants materials. Unfortunately, a lot of the children, almost every children we saw, had large decays. And so there's definitely a lot of restorative work that we needed to do. But we didn't have, of course, any of the power equipment to do it other than the attriciator to help with setting up the Fuji and the composite materials. So that was a little bit of a limitation.
Sure. Now, you mentioned the culture. Were there cultural differences that impacted your approach on how you approached the patients?
The cultural differences, well, first we're dealing with pediatrics, so we definitely needed some adults involved, and some of the teachers were involved too in the school settings to kind of act as the guardian. We also had the local dentist on site to kind of making sure they're supervising everything, and because we don't have necessarily parent consent there. So as long as the dentist kind of authorizes these procedures, that would, it was appropriate for us to complete.
So, what was your most memorable moment or patient experience from the trip that you really took away?
Yes, we saw a lot of children, and they were pretty, open and pretty compliant. But there was this one young girl, she was a preteen, and she asked for some privacy. Not verbally, but you can from like her hands gestures. She asked for the piece of paper that we were using to document some of their dentition and the conditions. And I asked her, "What do you need our paper for?" And she showed me that she wanted to cover her face with a paper. So that was a signal for me. She wants privacy. She's embarrassed of her smile. So I picked up on that, and I said, okay, I told the dentist that I was working with, it's like, she's a little embarrassed. So let's kind of create like a human shield and rotate the chair so the chair's not facing any of her peers. It's facing more like the stage or the wall that's on there near her, and then see what she's embarrassed about. Sure enough, 8 and 9, the facial is severely decayed. So it's, around that preteen age, you become much more self-conscious of your appearance. And then there's sensitivity around that because the way those teeth have been severely decayed. So fortunately, her mom was around because I think she knew the how embarrassed and the sensitivity of her condition. And we were able to try to do the restorative work with her. So we also did SDF fluoride on the back teeth. That's the one thing I forgot to mention earlier, just for preventative. But on the anterior teeth, we did a lot more of the composites, and it looked great. So we were able to share her a mirror, and she was so happy that she was open to taking a selfie with us. And I knew from that moment how much we transformed this young girl's life, that she can now feel comfortable smiling again. And so that was probably like the most heartfelt moment throughout that experience, because I know what it was to be 12, insecure with acne or, all these things. And that she was probably struggling from some time, not only smiling, probably eating, speaking, just because of the size of those decays, and how much we're able to improve her quality of life just from like that simple procedure. So it was just a really heartfelt moment for us.
I love that. I love it. How did this experience impact your perspective on dental care and your profession?
Yeah, I think, one of the things about the dental missions trip is we have a lot of rules here in the States for good reasons, right? We have a lot of ways to ensure that there's good infection control and everyone's, in compliance. But that when you're dealing with environments that have no access to care, you have to prioritize, what matters the most, right? Really helping people achieve health even with the limited resources and conditions that we have. So did we have the best infection control in these environments? No, but we know that we're able to help so many, probably over 100 children who's actually the first time they've actually received a dental professional treat their mouth. So it's like, you have to prioritize and be mindful and kind of be open and receptive. Granted, we have to make sure we're trying to be as hygienic as possible in our environments, but the need was so great that it was important that we treat the patient, and that became such a priority. So how we treated it, we had to get creative in our environment, and the two different environments we were in. But the objective here is really serving these patients and really connecting with them so they're getting the care that they need. And it might be the only care that they get for the next 10, 20, 30 years. So it was important for us to prioritize that.
So what advice for other dental hygienists do you have that are considering joining a mission trip?
When you're considering joining a mission trip, it's important to go with maybe organizations who have established cadence, already have figured out a lot of some of these complex government laws, and can give you a little more depth about the cultural sensitivity and the training needed before arriving to some of these locations. But you can also connect with dental hygienists or dentists, dental professionals who have experience and kind of go with their lead, attending these locations. So there's definitely a lot of different organizations that are doing it, and they've done it well, and they do it every single year. And that might be a safe way to do it if you're really going for the first time, because outreach is really impactful. It's really impactful, but it's not for everyone either, right? This is not a vacation. There's definitely some compromises you're going to have to make, and you have to be open-minded and flexible to adapt to the environment that you're in. So probably just that would be my recommendation, is just going to explore what organizations are available, doing it before you to get an understanding which one you want to select that meets your comfort, but also serves the purpose that you're hoping to accomplish.
Well, congratulations. I mean, I'm so glad that you're changing lives and you went on this trip, and I really hope to do this someday myself. If any of our listeners would like to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
Absolutely. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So you can type up my name, Belangie Perez-Torres, at LinkedIn. But my name is pretty long, so you have to read it in the show notes here, how to find me. But I'm also on Instagram. I do have a public Instagram page, and it's dental_hygiene, just for fun. So you're welcome to connect with me there if you don't have a LinkedIn page.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This has really been enlightening, and I really hope it inspires other hygienists to get involved in mission trips, because I think it's so important.
Absolutely. It's definitely, mission trips really help provide essential care and foster empathies and mostly cultural understanding. So if you're interested to be immersed in different cultures, it's going to help with personal and professional growth.
Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to the DSO Hygienist podcast. Please follow or subscribe to be alerted of new episodes.